project, welfare. Member of Parliament, constituency project type, name of project, budget and implementing agency. Mr. George Anthony Hilton, St. Andrew Western, Human and Social Development, St. Andrew Western Additional Welfare Support, 700,000 SDC. Miss Denise Daly, St. Catherine Eastern, Human and Social Development, St. Catherine Eastern, Additional Social Welfare, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. Moreland Wilson, Western Westmoreland, Additional Emergency Welfare Program, 25-26, $2 million SDC. That's it for welfare. We now move to physical infrastructure. Mr. George Anthony Hilton, St. Andrew Western Seaview Gardens Primary IT Lab Construction Library Renovation, $4.243,899. AMC, sorry. Dr. Angela Brown Burke, St. Andrews Southwestern, Greenwich Town Fishing Beach, Bathroom Rehabilitation, 25-26, $2,500,575, KSAMC. Honorable Robert Morgan, Clarendon North Central Solar Electrification of Donald Sangster Community Center, 25-26, $2,080, Clarendon Municipal Corporation. That's it for physical infrastructure. We move to disaster mitigation. Dr. Peter Phillips, St. Andrew East Central Disaster Management Recovery, 25-26, $2.1 million, KSAMC. Dr. Angela Brown Burke, St. Andrews Southwestern. St. Andrews Southwestern Disaster Mitigation, 25-26, $3,003,000, KSAMC. Mr. Robert Chin, Manchester Southern Social Water, 25-26, $1.5 million, Manchester Municipal Corporation. Mr. Clifford Warmington, St. Catherine Southwestern, St. Catherine Disaster Mitigation, 25-26, $2 million, St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. That's the end. We move now to culture. Mr. Michael Phillips, Manchester Northwestern Maidstone, Fossa August Emancipation Fair 2025, $3,855,000, $25,650 SDC. Mr. Dwight Sibbles, Clarendon Northern Cultural Development 25-26, 500,000 Clarendon MC. Mrs. Natalie Nita Garvey, St. Catherine North Central, St. Catherine North Central Emancifest 25-26, $2 million Social Development Commission. That's the end of culture. We go to education. Ms. Denise Daly, St. Catherine Eastern Education Assistant 25-26, $7 million SDC. End of education, we go to sports. Mr. Robert Miller, St. Catherine Eastern Sport Initiative, Southeastern Sports Initiative, $1 million social development. Honorable Orlando Terlong, St. Catherine East Central Sports Program 25-26, $1 million SDC. Dr. Michelle Charles, St. Thomas Eastern Sports Development Program 25-26, $1.5 million SCC. Ms. Tamika Davis, Hanover Western Sports Development 25-26, $1 million SDC. Mr. James Roberts, St. Thomas Western Sports Development 25-26, $1.5 million SDC. Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, St. Andrew West Rural Sporting Assistant 25-26, $600,000 SDC. Mr. Michael Phillip, Manchester Northwestern Sports Development 25-26, $1.5 million SDC. Mr. Donovan Williams, Kingston Central Sports Program 25-26, $300,000 SDC. Honorable J.C. Hutchinson, St. Elizabeth Northwestern Sports Development 25-26, $2 million, St. Elizabeth MC. Miss Rhoda Moy Crawford, Manchester Central Sports 25-26, $500,000 SDC. Mr. Robert Chin, Manchester Southern Sports Development, 25-26, $1 million, Manchester Municipal Corporation. Dr. Angela Brown-Burt, JP, St. Andrews Southwestern, St. Andrews Southwestern Sports Initiative, 25-26, $1 million, SCC. Dr. Honorable Christopher Tufton, St. Catherine West Central Sports Program, 25-26, $2 million, SDC. Miss Natalie Nita Garvey, St. Catherine North Central Sports Program, 25-26, $2 million, SDC. Mr. Dwight Sibbles, Clarendon North Sports, 25-26, $1 million, Clarendon MC. Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., Clarendon Southeastern Sports, 25-26, $2 million, Clarendon MC. Honorable Robert Morgan, Clarendon North Central Sports, 25-26, $1.5 million, and Clarendon MC. Constituency, Honorable Dr. Norman Dunn, St. Mary's Southeastern Sports Development, 25-26, $1 million, SDC. Miss Tova Hamilton, Trelawney Northern Game on Trelawney Northern Uniting Community Through Sports, 25-26, $1.5 million, STC. Mr. Julian Robinson, St. Andrews Southeastern Initiative, 25-26, $750,000, STC. Mr. Lester Mike Henry, Clarendon Central Sports, 25-26, $2 million, STC. Honorable Juliet Holness, St. Andrew East Rural Sports Development Program, 25-26, $1 million, SCC. Miss Carencia Morrison, St. Catherine Northeastern Sports Program, 25-26, $1.5 million, SDC. Mr. Moreland Wilson, Westmoreland Sports Development, 25-26, $2 million, SDC. This is the end of sports. We now move to economic enablement. Mr. Julian Robinson, St. Andrews Southeastern Economic Enablement, 25-26, $1,780,000 SDC. Dr. Peter Phillips, St. Andrew East Central Economic Enablement, 25-26, $2.1 million, SDC. Honorable Robert Morgan, Clarendon North Central Agricultural Support, 25-26, $1.5 million RADA. Sorry? $1.5 million. Mr. Donovan Williams, Kingston Central Economic Enablement, 25-26, $2,449,585 STC. Mr. Lester Mike Henry, Clarendon Central Agricultural Assistant, 25-26, $2 million RADA. Mr. Philip Enriquez, Clarendon Northwestern Agricultural Assistant, 25-26, $2 million RADA. Mr. Michael Phillips, Manchester Northwestern Manchester Agricultural Development Program, 25-26, $2 million RADA. Rhoda Moy Crawford, Manchester Central Agricultural Support, 25-26, $1 million RADA. Honorable Juliet Cuthbert, Flynn, St. Andrew West Rural Economic Enablement Program, 25-26, $3 million SDC. Mr. Robert Miller, St. Catherine Southeastern Economic Enablement, 25-26, $1 million SDC. Honorable Olivia Green, St. Catherine Central, 25-26, Economic Enablement, $1.5 million SDC. Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, St. Andrew Southwestern Economic Enablement, 25-26, $1 million SDC. Mr. Mika Davis, Hanover Western Economic Enablement, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. Luthan Cousin, Clarendon Southwestern Economic Enablement Empowerment, 25-26, $3 million SDC. Mr. Mark Golden, St. Andrew South Economic Enablement, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. Clifford E. Warmington, St. Catherine Southwest Economic Enablement, 25-26, $2.5 million SDC. Honorable Matthew Samuda, St. Andrew Northeastern Economic Enablement, 25-26, $3 million Social Development. Honorable Delroy Chuck, St. Andrew Northeastern Economic Enablement Rehabilitation, 25-26, $3 million SCC. Miss Lisa Hanna, St. Anne Southeastern, 2526 Southeast St. Anne Economic Enablement, 500,000 SDC. Dr. Andrew Wheatley, St. Catherine South Central, St. Catherine South Central Economic Enablement 2526, $1.5 million SEC. Honorable Xavier Mean, St. Anne Southwestern Economic Enablement Assistance Project 2526, $2 million SDC. Mr. Dwight Civils, Clarendon Northern East Economic Enablement 2526, $3 million, Clarendon MC. Ms. Carencia Morrison, St. Catherine Northeastern Economic Enablement 2526, $1.5 million SEC. Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, St. James Northwestern Economic Enablement 2526, $1 million Social Development. Mr. Hero Clark, St. James Central Economic Enablement, 2526, $2 million Social Development. Honorable Homer Davis, St. James Southern Economic Enablement, 2526, $2 million SCC. Mr. Robert Montague, St. Mary Western Economic Enablement, 2526, $2 million SDC. Mr. George Wright, Westmoreland Central Economic Enablement, 2526, $2 million SDC. Mr. Moreland Wilson, Westmoreland Western Economic Enablement, 2526, $3 million SDC. Mr. Dave Brown, Hanover Eastern Economic Enablement, 2526, $1.5 million SDC. Honorable Marlene Malahu, Fort KC, St. James West Central Economic Enablement, 2526, $2 million SCC. Mr. George Anthony Hilton, St. Andrew Small Business Support Funding 25-26, $3 million SDC. Honorable Dr. Norman Dunn, St. Mary's Southeastern, Economic Enablement 25-26, $2 million SDC. Norman Dunn. Mr. James Robertson, St. Thomas Western Economic Enablement Program 25-26, $3 million SDC. Ms. Tova Hamilton Trelawney Northern Strive Entrepreneurial Empowerment for Sustainability Livelihood 25-26, $320,000 SDC. Mr. Dwayne Smith, St. Andrew Northwestern, St. Andrew Northwestern Economic Enablement Assistance, $3 million SDC. Honorable Edmund Bartlett, St. James East Central Economic Enablement 25-26, $1 million SDC. Honorable Juliet Holness, St. Andrew East Rural Economic Enablement Program 2025, $3 million SDC. $3 million, sorry. Dr. Michelle Charles, St. Thomas Eastern Economic Enablement Program 25-26, $1 million SDC. Mr. Robert Chin, Manchester Southern Economic Enablement Program 25-26, $1 million, Manchester MC. Miss Rhoda Moy Crawford, Manchester Central Economic Enablement 25-26, $2 million SDC. Westmoreland Central Economic Enablement 25-26, $2 million SDC. Yes. Honorable Favor Williams and Andrew Eastern Economic SBAP 25-26, $3 million SDC. That's the end of economic enablement. We now go to social housing. Lieutenant Cousin, yeah. Dr. Michelle Charles, St. Thomas Eastern Additional Social Housing, Program 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. James Robertson, St. Thomas Eastern Social Housing Program 25-26, $1.5 million SDC. Mr. Carl Samuda, St. Andrew North Central Housing Assistant 25-26, $2 million SDC. Ms. Tova Hamilton, From Foundation to Future, Trelawney Northern Social Housing Drive, 25, $1 million SDC. Yeah, 2025. Honorable Juliet Holness, St. Andrew East Rural Social Housing, 25-26, additional $2 million SDC. Mr. Dwayne Smith, St. Andrew Northwestern, additional housing, 25-26, $2 million social development. Mr. Moreland Wilson, Western Westmoreland, additional social housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Honorable Marlene Malahu, Fort St. James West Central, additional social housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. Hero Clark, St. James Central, additional social housing, 25-26, $2 million, Social Development Commission. Honorable Edmund Bartlett, St. James East Central, additional housing, 25-26, $2 million, Social Development Commission. Mr. Daniel Lawrence, Westmoreland Eastern, additional social housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. Dave Brown, Hanover Eastern, additional social housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Dave Brown, $2 million. Honorable Homer Davis, St. James Southern, additional housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, St. Andrew West Rural Social Housing, 25-26, additional $1.5 million SDC. Mrs. Anne-Marie Vaz, Portland Eastern, additional social housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. Michael Phillips, Manchester Northwestern, additional housing, 25-26, $500,000 SDC. Mr. Delroy Slowly, St. Elizabeth Northeastern, additional social housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Honorable Pernell Charles, Clarendon Southeastern, additional social housing, 25-26, $2 million, Clarendon MC. Honorable Floyd Green, St. Elizabeth Southwestern, St. Elizabeth Southwestern Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million, St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation. Mr. Dwight Sibbles, Clarendon Northern Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $1.75 million, Clarendon MC. Honorable Matthew Samuda, Center Northeastern Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million, Social Development. Ms. Crystal Lee, St. Anne, Northwestern Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million SCC. Honorable Xavier Mean, St. Anne, Southwestern Additional Social Housing Project, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. George Wright, Westmoreland Central Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million STC. Mr. Donovan Williams, Kingston Central Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million STC. Honorable Orlando Terlong, St. Catherine East Central Social Housing Program, 25-26, $1 million SDC. Honorable Dr. Norman Dunn, St. Mary's Southeastern Housing Additional, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. Robert Montague, St. Mary Western, St. Mary Western Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC, Social Development Commission. Mr. Philip Henriquez, Clarendon Northwestern Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, St. James Northwestern Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $1 million SDC. Mr. George Anthony Hilton, St. Andrew Western Social Housing Fund, $656, $101 SDC. Mr. Fitz Jackson, St. Catherine Southern Social Housing, 25-26, $1 million SDC. Miss Rhoda Moy Crawford, Manchester Central Social Housing, 25-26 additional $2 million SCC. Dr. Honorable Christopher Tufton, St. Catherine Central Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Dr. Andrew Wheatley, St. Catherine South Central Additional Social Housing Agent Assistant Program, 25-26, $1 million SDC. Miss Lisa Hannah, St. Anne, Southeastern, 25-26, Southeastern St. Anne's Housing Assistant, $1.5 million SDC. Honorable Delroy Chuck, St. Andrew Northeastern, Additional Housing, 25-26, $1 million SDC. Sorry, KSAMC. Honorable Olivia Green, St. Catherine Central Additional Housing Assistant, 25-26, $1.5 million SDC. Mr. Mika Davis, Hanover Western Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Mr. Clifford E. Warmington, St. Catherine Southwestern Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Honorable Favor Williams and Andrew Eastern, Additional Housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Miss Natalie Garvey, St. Catherine North Central, Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $1 million SDC. Mr. Mark Golden, St. Andrew Southern Housing Project, 25-26, additional $1.75 million SDC. Yeah. Ms. Carencia Morrison, St. Catherine Northeastern, Additional Housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Ms. Denise Daly, St. Catherine, Additional Social Housing, 25-26, $2 million SDC. That's the end of social housing. We have two. One from Human and Social Development Welfare. Mr. Clifford Warmington, St. Catherine Southwestern, Emergency and Welfare, 25-26, $2 million SDC. Withdrawal of the Clarendon Northwestern Sport Initiative 24-25. The caption project was approved by a Parliament Committee on February 11, 2025 for $1,578,000 $1,947.40, with $1.5 million being reallocated from the Constituency 22-23 sports program. After this approval, the unit was informed by the Social Development Commission that only $1,027,500 was available for reallocation. In light of the above discovery, we are seeking your committee's permission to withdraw February 11, 2025 approval in its current form and to consider approving the enclosed revision of the Clarendon Northwestern Sports Initiative 25-26 with a new budget of $1,106,447.40. Also enclosed for your perusal are all previous approval while we anticipate your favor consideration. Yours truly, Constituency Development Fund Management Unit, over the caption signature, Khadijah Campbell Rochester. Clarendon Northwestern. Mr. Philip Henriquez, MP. Now that we are through with proposed constituency projects, any other business? Any other business? If there is none, we move to next meeting date.
We return to the schedule that was circulated. The next meeting would be the 17th of June. The 17th of June.
17th of June. 17th of June, what say us? Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. If there's no other matter to be discussed at this time, 1:24 p.m., this meeting stands adjourned.
Dengue is ordinarily a mild disease. Persons may get a fever, headache, joint, and muscle pains. The illness is often resolved through rest and adequate hydration along with paracetamol to treat the accompanying fever. However, on occasions, the illness can progress to severe dengue, which can result in organ failure, bleeding, and severe fluid depletion that can lead to shock and even death. Therefore, it is important for persons who are experiencing fever, vomiting, severe abdominal pain, bleeding under the skin, feeling very weak, or getting confused to seek immediate attention. Let us work together to protect ourselves against dengue.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
To fight crime and violence in your country, your government has invested over $9.7 billion into national security systems. This includes the construction and renovation of dozens of police stations, the acquisition of critical security equipment such as patrol vessels and police vehicles, the recruitment and training of more police officers, and the build-out of the Jamaica Defense Force. Your government is investing in your safety. We are building Jamaica.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister. The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Your government is empowering you through education, training, and development. That is why we have removed all fees for every Jamaican accessing training through the Heart NSTA Trust. So, whatever you desire training in, food and hospitality, beauty and cosmetology, housekeeping and hotel management, welding, carpentry, masonry, or any of the dozens of programs Heart offers, you can enroll completely free and change your life. We are building Jamaica.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
What is the role of a backbencher in government? I'm glad you asked. They're members of parliament who are not appointed to cabinet. So they sit in the back of the legislature and they apply pressure. They examine what government legislates, participate in parliament debates, raise issues and advocate and question chamber when things don't look straight. Backbenchers represent the constituents in parliament. Backbenchers oversee the interests of citizens, you and me. But how can they be agents of government accountability after them no hold a portfolio? And them and a minister? No. So then how can they facilitate government transparency? And the next thing, them and a front bencher. So how them affect me? You see, a lot of work is in committees. So these portfolio-free MPs with less dire responsibilities are more accessible to you and me. So they help with policy, but it helps if we engage them, you see. So they're not just in the back benches, but on the ground, in the trenches. Though in the back of parliament, we're at the front of their cause. So pause. Find your backbencher at jampja.org.
What can a little germs do?
Tie running belly, even flu. Germs can make them happen to you.
Put germs on our manners with these. Cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. Always wash your hand with water and soap. Keep dirty hands from your eyes and your nose and your mouth. You don't want to be sick, take care. Practice every day, no germs around here. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Aspiring gunman, badman, young dance, liquor shutters, the 14, the 15, the 16-year-olds, you still have time to change your future and enjoy your life. No, not no gun for no guy. And not bother hang with no crowd that is always getting into trouble. Think about your family, your father, your mother, your granny. Some of you good and all have son or daughter. It's not worth it, my youth. Choose freedom.
I wish to inform Jamaica that the government has already launched Operation Get Every Illegal Gun. My message today, therefore, is directed to the many young men who have illegal weapons in their possession, who hide the weapons, or as they say, lock them. And I'm speaking as well to the girlfriends, the baby mothers, the sisters and the mothers who give them cover and protection. I'm giving you warning. Put down the gun. Give it up. Leave the gang. Dissociate yourself from the gunmen. Otherwise, the consequences will be grim.
It's Tuesday, May 20th. In the headlines, government to review law on access to sex offenders registry. In business news, financial results out for companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Regionally, Grenada and China to sign a new cooperation deal. And in sports, Reggae Girls to face United States on June 3. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has instructed the relevant ministers in his administration to fast-track legislative amendments aimed at strengthening Jamaica's framework for tackling violence against women and girls. The directive came during Monday's cabinet meeting after Prime Minister Holness received a report from National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang detailing recent cases of violence against women and girls. The latest incidents that have sparked national outrage include the tragic rape and murder of 9-year-old Kelsey Ferrigan, the discovery of remains believed to be those of missing UTech student Anissa Dilworth, and the assault of a nurse by a St. Andrew businessman. In related news, in response to the Prime Minister's instructions, the Holness administration is moving to review the law governing access to Jamaica's sex offenders registry. That announcement from Gender Minister Olivia Babsy-Grange as she joined hundreds of protesters on the streets of Kingston, demanding justice and an end to violence against women and girls. Denida Rodney reports.
Amid a recent surge in violent attacks against women and children, many of them sexual in nature, Minister Grange says the government will review the legislation that governs access to the country's sex offenders registry.
I'm going to look into the act that governs sex offenders registry. I remember when we were debating in Parliament about the legislation, there were those advocates who said that we must protect the rights of the offenders, although they are offenders, and therefore the registry was not made public. It wasn't published in the newspaper, it wasn't published on radio, but the information can be accessed. But the ordinary woman and the little girl and the families do not understand the bureaucracy. They do not understand how to access these things. And so we have to make the information more available and more accessible to all. And so the Prime Minister has decided that he will treat with that.
Scores of nurses, medical professionals, advocacy groups, and university students took to the streets on Monday, marching from the University Hospital of the West Indies to Heroes Circle to demand justice and an end to violence against women and children. The protest follows the brutal attack on a UHWI nurse. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton joined the demonstration, standing in solidarity with healthcare workers and condemning the violence.
Take your feet from off our heads, right? Take your feet from off our heads, right? Take your feet from off our heads, right? Take your feet from off our heads.
All right, so I'm here at the University Hospital at the West Indies main gate in full solidarity with the nurses behind me and staff at the hospital protesting the very brutal attack on a nurse last week. Our nurses, our doctors, all healthcare workers, they provide an essential service, life-saving service. And this service goes 24/7, 7 days a week. They must feel safe when they move from home to work and back. And as a society, we need to give them 150% support.
He says he is in close dialogue with the family of the nurse who was attacked.
Those who are not at the UHWI, that as it relates to Nurse Spacey, who is the victim of this, the University Hospital in West Indies, the clinical team, the full staff are giving her the fullest support, both clinically and psychologically. And I spoke to her husband, who gave me a long, opinion on what transpired, and he's being supported. So from the government standpoint, the victim in all of this, Nurse Spacey, is getting the best of support. From a national standpoint, this is a show of solidarity, all of us, and we have to make sure that the law takes its course and the justice served in the way it's ought to, because our healthcare workers, just like any other individual, but more so our healthcare workers who are on the road every day, day and night, who protect us, who serve us in our hospitals, we need to see them and protect them at all times, no matter how irate we think we are or how big we think we are. And so that's an important national message.
Sweeping changes are underway in the education sector as new initiative promises to modernize how schools operate and support students. Backed by international partners, the program is expected to improve access, efficiency, and outcomes through the use of technology, impacting schools, teachers, and learners across the country. We learn more in this JIS feature.
Digitalization is essential for the Education Ministry and the education sector at large, enabling real-time data access to enhance student learning outcomes. The SDG Joint Program on Digital Transformation for Education, a collaborative initiative by UNICEF, UNESCO, the World Food Programme, WFP, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, with funding from the Joint SDG Fund, aims to harness technology to improve education management. Through tools like the Education Management Information System, EMIS, the program will streamline school administration, enhance decision-making, and provide vital support to teachers and students.
The objective of this joint program is to drive the digital transformation of the education system in Jamaica by prioritizing the digitalization of key processes in the education sector and promoting education digital solutions that will ultimately contribute to achieve better results. The initiative is aligned with the Ministry's need and strategic plans to help close the gap in education quality, student performance, teacher management, nutrition, and overall data management.
Benefiting more than 450,000 students over 3 years, the SDG Joint Program on Digital Transformation for Education will create a student-centered data management system, enhance the school feeding program, improve effective policymaking, monitoring, and evaluation, as well as strengthen data governance by ensuring digital solutions are integrated across the education system and related sectors for better student outcomes. This initiative directly supports Sustainable Development Goal 4, ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all.
The EMIS will allow us to monitor key educational indicators in real time. And with this system, the Central Ministry will be able to work with school leadership to more effectively bridge gaps, track student progress, and provide targeted interventions to those most in need.
The system will vastly improve the quality of education being offered to students here in Jamaica, as the system is data-driven. The system will therefore provide opportunities for us to be engaged with data at a much faster rate and also more data than we would have had in the past.
It also advances Sustainable Development Goal 2, Zero Hunger, by ensuring that students receive balanced and nutritious meals, improving their overall well-being and ability to learn. The Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are a global blueprint comprising 17 targets adopted by the United Nations to foster peace, prosperity, and a healthier planet by 2030.
Elaine Bennett of Lloyd's District in St. Thomas is the latest recipient of a new house under the government's new social housing program. While reflecting on losing her house and all her belongings in a fire of unknown origin, Elaine Bennett expressed thanks to everyone who contributed to making her new home possible.
I can remember the day when I was in Monday and I get the news that my house was on fire. You know, I'm just giving God thanks for all what He has brought me through because of grace and mercy. And I am thanking this company and this program for helping me to get in this house.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness notes that the circumstances of the beneficiaries are different, but pointed out that they're all deserving.
So you're going to use this as your residence, and I can see that it will be beneficial because this house is multi-generational.
Yes.
You will benefit, Your daughter will benefit.
Tell them family,
And
say,
this
nobody
wonderful,
care when they
beautiful little girl here.
Tell them, when them
She
hear
will
Prime
benefit as
Minister,
well.
them say the
Good.
daughter
So this house will restore the family's savings and wealth and break intergenerational poverty.
The new social housing program is a Jamaican government initiative that aims to provide safe, stable, and affordable housing solutions for vulnerable families. It is part of a broader effort to improve living conditions for the country's poor and disadvantaged, aiming to reduce housing poverty and promote community development. Time now for this week's Living Healthy Report. We focus on mental health.
In Trinidad and Tobago, although there have been no recorded statistics on the prevalence of various mental health challenges, clinical psychologist Victoria Sunarayan Jilal Singh says there are more people seeking help.
So there aren't any statistics because there aren't any formal studies that are being conducted. But what I can say from practice and what I can speak to based on things that I've been hearing from my colleagues as well is that more people are seeking help. Now, if more people are seeking help, it doesn't necessarily